Hi, my name is James Tiburon, and very honored tonight to have Dr. Semir Osmanagić with us at the Earthkeeper Conference, and Dr. Semir has kindly agreed to give us a little bit of time for an interview to share some of the fascinating aspects of the work that he's doing in Bosnia. For those of you that are not familiar with Dr. Osmanagić's work, he is a PhD, and he is a prolific author of over 12 books about ancient civilizations, about in the area of anthropology. He is also the discoverer of the Bosnian Pyramids, and this is an incredible event that's taking place. And I'd like for Dr. Semir first, welcome for our interview. Thank you for being here. Would you tell us just a little bit about the Bosnian Pyramids, a little bit about the discovery and what's happening now?
Thank you very much, James. The Bosnian pyramid discovery brings 7 elements that will forever change the way we view our ancient history. Number 1, these are the first pyramids in Europe. Number 2, they are the largest, the biggest pyramids on the planet. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, with its height of over 220 meters, is much higher than the Great Pyramid of Egypt, with 147 meters. Number 3, the orientation of the northern side of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is the most precise orientation to the north of any other pyramid in the world. Number 4, under the layers of soil, we are finding rectangular blocks. We have tested them in 6 different institutes for materials in Bosnia, Italy, and France, and they all confirmed that that was a man-made concrete of exceptional quality. They are harder than any other concrete that we can make today. Number 5, the pyramids are covered by soil. The Institute for Pedology from Bosnia concluded in their written scientific report that the soil is between 12 and 15,000 years old, meaning the pyramids are even older. And this summer, in June of 2012, we have discovered organic material on top of the concrete blocks. Radiocarbon dating showed that this organic material was 24,800 years old, plus minus 200 years. So when we received those results from Kiev, Ukraine, yes, we knew that 25,000 years is still the minimum age of this pyramid. So they are the oldest on the planet. The element number 6, under the valley of the pyramids, we have the most extensive underground tunnel network. It runs for tens of miles. And number 7, in those tunnels, we've been discovering huge megalithic blocks. When we analyzed them, we got results that they were ceramic blocks, man-made, artificially made, and those 7 elements forever changes what we thought that we knew about the ancient history.
Well, I'm absolutely amazed, and I do want to make the comment, and I'd like to clarify for the viewers that Dr. Semir is at the Earthkeeper 12-12-12 conference with Graham Hancock, David Hatcher-Childress, John Van Auken, and John Major Jenkins, who we'll be talking to in a few moments. And this is just an amazing gathering. And it is 5 people that I consider to be truly living versions of Indiana Jones. And these are men that are changing the way we view history. People like Dr. Semir, Graham Hancock, Childress, John Major Jenkins, John Van Auken have all taken different paths to looking at ancient civilizations, ancient possibilities, and the importance of understanding our true origins is absolutely essential. But what Dr. Semir has done is a little bit differentiated in the sense that this is a man that is an accredited academic. And he put himself on the line for the world, for the people of Bosnia, and the discovery of these pyramids at a time when the mainstream old school academia was not recognizing what they are. And he has turned heads, and there is little doubt now that this is the most fascinating, the most important archaeological discovery of recent times. And so I want to salute you for that, because I know the courage that it takes. I know that it is so easy when you get criticism, when people think that you're a little bit off on one side or the other, that it is very easy just to let go. But that perseverance is absolutely amazing, and I want to credit you for that. But because of Dr. Semir's work, when you think of Bosnia now, you think of advanced ancient civilizations, you think of an advanced society, and that is a wonderful new image. It is an important image for the people of Europe, for the people of Bosnia, and Dr. Semir is to be credited for that work. You're also a member of the prestigious Russian Academy of Science. How many languages do you speak?
Several languages.
Yes.
Now, James, your role is also very important. Now you've been organizing conferences, and they are the most visited conferences in the US. So many people from all over the world, Australia, Brazil, from Russia, from Holland, from Germany, from Canada, Mexico, all parts of the US. It's very important that these people, once they hear those things, they go back to their respective countries and they start visiting those places, from Machu Picchu to Bosnia, from Chinese pyramids to Mexican pyramids, because we need to think differently. The scientific paradigm that we've been living in will stay behind us. We need to come with the new info, and then you recognize the only way to do that is to bridge the gap between the material and spiritual science.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do in Bosnia also. From day one, when we started this archaeological project, we said actually it will be only the archaeology or geology or the classical sciences. We need to combine all scientific disciplines, like classical, like satellite screening, thermal analysis, georadar analysis, radiocarbon datings, plus the knowledge of the physicists, the knowledge of electrical engineers. So material science as a whole, plus knowledge from the energy realm, plus the knowledge from the spiritual realm. And only if we view all these sites, including Bosnian pyramids, through those three realms,
Yes.
we will be able to understand.
Making it full circle.
Yes. That's why
Yeah.
our project has become the most open project in the history. You know, we have conservative, mainstream scientists, we have alternative scientists, we have spiritual scientists. Our doors are open for everyone. And not only that, we have opened the door for young people and those who feel young at their hearts to come and to become very active parts of this project. So you don't have to be archaeologists, professional, you don't have to be professor to come and work and dig there. We said the people who want to come from all over the world as a volunteer, they will have an opportunity to actually be an active part in new discoveries.
What are the ways of coming over? For example, can a group come over to meditate?
Anyone can come. People can come as volunteers, and they can apply through our website, BosnianPyramidOfTheSun.com. Usually we work in shifts, 1 shift, 2 weeks, June, July, August, September. They choose which day they want to come, they apply, and on our website they have all the terms. But also they can come as a tourist.
Okay.
They can come as a part of organized groups. And now we know that on the Sun Pyramid, especially on the top, and then in the underground labyrinth, there are places with very potent energies. There are ceramic blocks, and when people go there, they can feel that energy, they can meditate, they can raise their immune system. And as a matter of fact, in the last couple of years, we've been doing some measurements on the aura field, bioenergy field around our bodies. Our measurements were on 110 people, male and female, young and old, and we have concluded that once you go in the tunnels for 1.5 hours, that in 85% of the cases, the aura gets improved. In the case people have some diseases, they have, for example, asthma. Once they spend 1.5 hours there, the asthma is healed. They have allergies, the allergies are gone. The headaches, the back pains. It seems that as we clean more of those tunnels, as we go deeper and closer to the pyramid, that the vibrational level of the tunnels is getting higher and higher, and it affects our bodies in a very beneficial way.
Absolutely. And if I may ask a question, and I will keep this relatively short, we'll keep it down to about 10 more minutes. What do you think were some of the energetic purposes of ancient pyramids? It's been discussed that they were energy generators, that they were communication devices, and certainly there's a lot of mounting evidence of these purposes. Certain pyramids seem to be at certain geodesic locations, at certain latitudes. What do you think were some of the various purposes?
Yes, in the last few decades, we were able to read a lot of things about possible energy properties of the pyramids.
Yes.
But in our case in Bosnia, since we actually run the project, we've opened the door for the experts in energy phenomena. On the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 4 independent teams from Croatia, Serbia, Italy, and Finland have detected and measured an electromagnetic field coming through the top of the Pyramid of the Sun in the form of the energy beam, 13 feet radius and 28 kilohertz frequency. This frequency we could measure in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, in the winter, all seasons, so it means it's continuous. And then what we did, we measured ultrasound frequency also in an area of about 30 feet, only on the very top of the Sun Pyramid. So in order for 28 kilohertz frequency to have, you have to have machine. That's not the frequency you can find randomly in the Mother Nature, especially not continuous, especially not in regular blocks like we have here. It takes a machine. So the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is not only the biggest pyramidal structure, but also an energy machine that's been working there for a very long time. In 2012, we were able to prove where is the energy source of the pyramid. It is 1.5 miles below the pyramid, or to be more exact, 2,440 meters, which was confirmed by 3 labs from Belgrade, Zagreb, and Vienna, Austria. And it's a huge iron plate. You know that iron does generate its own electromagnetic field.
A natural formation?
Natural formation.
Wow.
So the position of the pyramids were always important.
Yes.
The ancients knew that.
Yes.
They positioned it over the iron plate, plus over the underground water streams. Water moves, generates more energy. The pyramid sucks
an anionic field, yes.
negative ions plus
Yes.
electricity, and when you add magnetic energy to
Yes.
the core of our planet, magma creates magnetic energy. So the pyramid sucks all those types and forms of energies and make it much stronger, amplifying it.
Yes.
Our Russian colleagues, Professor Kaloshka and Siplakov, measured the strength of the signal at the bottom of the Sun Pyramid and on the top. On the top, it's 50 to 500 times stronger, depending on the type of the energy.
Amazing.
So the pyramid is the most complex construction ever, the energy machine, which basically amplifies several types of the energy. Now, the energy beams that we measure, and that's what you asked me about the purpose of this energy. On the top, we measure it, the intensity on the surface, 10 foot high, and another 10 foot high. Every time we move away from the top, the signal is getting stronger. So you have some type of non-Hertzian, Tesla's wave. If it is getting stronger, it means theoretically that it can reach any point in our solar system, in any other star system, even in different galaxies. So once you reach, for example, some other planet, you establish the energy bridge. Once you have the energy bridge, you can move your radio waves, frequencies, so you can use it as the communication device. But then when we think, what are we? Our human bodies, it's just different frequencies. Once you move frequencies through your energy bridge, theoretically, you can move our frequencies, and then you have a base for the teleportation.
Yes.
So it can be transportation device.
Fascinating.
So,
Fascinating.
you know, on every 1st of May in Russia or China, you have those parades.
Yes.
If they have stormy weather, what they do, they send projectile, they clear the sky. The same thing, it can be usage of this energy beam from the pyramid. You can adjust the climate. You can do the heating.
These
you can
could
do
be
the healing.
These could be the energy source for a new firmament, in a sense.
Exactly. So really, our imagination is our limit.
Yes.
And the ancients were smart. Instead of using limited forms of energy, coal, gas, oil, they were using unlimited, they were using clean energy, they were using non-Hertzian Tesla's energy, they were using wireless method of transportation, and they were getting free energy.
Wow.
Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, with its 25,000 years of age, is the first perpetual novel on this planet.
Dr. Semir Osmanagić, I think that the work that you're doing, in all sincerity, is going to change the world, and I congratulate you and honor you. Thank you so much
Thanks a
for
lot,
the work
James.
that you're doing. Thank you.
Hello. Almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. They are telling us that the pyramids were built in Egypt and Mexico. Wrong. They are built all over the planet. They are telling us that the Egyptian pyramids were built as a tombs for pharaohs. Again, wrong. The oldest, the biggest, the most superior pyramids on Egyptian soil were never used as tombs for pharaohs. They are telling us that the pyramids on Mexican soil were used as the ceremonial centers to sacrifice the enemy. Again, wrong. In the 21st century, we will be witnessing the change of the scientific paradigm. Egyptologists have been saying that this pyramid, the famous step pyramid in Saqqara, was built by the pharaoh of the 3rd dynasty, Pharaoh Djoser, 4,620 years ago. But under the pyramid, the network of tunnels and chambers were discovered. And inside the artifacts and ceramics, dating showed 5,800 years. 1,200 years older than the reign of the Pharaoh Djoser. So who really built this pyramid? Egyptologists are saying that the last pharaoh of the 3rd dynasty, Pharaoh Sneferu, built not one, but 3 colossal pyramidal structures. According to them, this was the first one, the famous bent pyramid in Dahshur. Outside, we don't have signs who really built it. Egyptologists are saying he was not happy with that pyramid, so he built another one, the Red Pyramid, also in Dahshur. Outside, no signs about the builders. Inside, the corridors with no paintings. Chambers with no mummies. No hieroglyphic symbols on the walls. No tools. No organic material. We don't really know who built this structure. And Egyptologists are saying he was not happy with the second, so he built the 3rd one, the step pyramid in Meidum. It seems that it was very hard to satisfy this pharaoh. Inside the pyramid, again, empty corridors, no mummies, no organic material, no tools, not a single proof who's the real author of this pyramid. And then they are telling us that the pharaoh of the 4th dynasty, the pharaoh Cheops, his son Khephren and his grandson Myceren built 3 most famous and most magnificent pyramids on Egyptian soil. Again, outside, you see no signs of builders, no banners. Inside, beautiful corridors with the megalithic structures. But the chambers, again, are empty, no mummies, no tools, no organic material. The time will show that 2 centuries of claims of Egyptian archaeologists, historians, with little help of Hollywood movies, have been the biggest hoax in history about pyramids being the tombs for pharaohs. However, some pharaohs did build pyramids, those of the 12th, 18th, 25th dynasty, but they did not have the knowledge, engineering skills, or the tools to build huge stone pyramids. So they used mud bricks, and those pyramids are long gone. 2 civilizations. The first one, the original builders, over 12,000 years. And the second one, the most recent, pharaonic dynasties, who tried to make replica, but unsuccessfully. The Great Pyramid of Egypt has the square base. The length at the base, 232 meters. 2 lengths, 464 meters. Divided by the height, 147 meters, gives us the result of 3.14. The number pi. According to historians, this number will not be invented for another 2,000 years. Only with Pythagoras and ancient Greece, the people will learn about the number pi. In a similar way, we can get the number phi, 1.6. The distance between our planet and the sun. The distance between our planet and the moon. The speed of light. The ancient Egyptians simply did not have the knowledge of those values. It was a much more advanced civilization than them. When you go to the Cairo, archaeologists will proudly show you at the National Museum soft, primitive copper tools and wooden sticks. And they will tell you that's all ancient Egyptians needed to build the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which we cannot repeat today with our technology. The pre-pharaonic vases in ancient Egypt, 7,000 years old, show the animals, the birds, the people, and the pyramids. 2,500 years before the first pharaohs. And some others, 8,000 years old, show dozens of true pyramids. 2 civilizations, the one much before the end of the last ice age, very advanced. And the second one, the Neolithic and pharaonic Egypt, with the inferior knowledge. 224 pyramids in the former Nubian kingdom, today's northern Sudan. The African continent, we just visited northeastern part, Egypt and Sudan, but the pyramids were built all around this continent. To the north, Italian islands of Sicily and Sardinia. To the west, Canary Islands in the Atlantic Ocean. And to the east, in the middle of the Indian Ocean, the island of Mauritius. Not a single word about those pyramids in textbooks, history books, encyclopedias, or even on internet. 43 pyramids on the Italian island of Sicily, built from volcanic stone. Four-sided, cornerstones nicely shaped on both sides. We don't know who, when, or why. The Canary Islands, 4 of them are inhabited. The biggest one is Tenerife. Dozens of pyramids. Again, 4 sides, triangular faces, plateaus on the top, volcanic stone, cornerstones nicely shaped, the same height of the steps, the same width. When you climb the stairs on the western side of the pyramid, on the most important day for the ancients, the summer solstice, the sun will be rising exactly in the middle of the plateau, meaning that the pyramid has been oriented towards the east during the summer solstice. 3 years ago, I spoke to professors at La Laguna University in Tenerife before my lecture, asking them if they visited the pyramids in Guimar. They told me, well, we were in Guimar, but according to the Spanish scientific community, they are not pyramids. They are just pile of rocks. Made by local farmers while cleaning the area to plant the agriculture. I explained them, of course, they are carefully planned pyramids. They got upset and they didn't come to my lecture. But I had over 300 students who wanted to know the truth. What's the problem with the Spanish scientific community? 550 years ago, the Spanish conquerors were sailing to the west, Middle and South America. And Guanches, the people who lived on Canary Islands, were the first one to face them. In less than 2 decades, the Spanish completely wiped them off from the face of the planet. And today, in order to justify such barbaric acts, they are saying, Guanches, they were very primitive. They will not tell us that the Guanches were able of building stone cities, stone pyramids, stone temples, irrigation channels. So, the Spanish today falsified the history. We go to the other side of the African continent, the island of Mauritius, 2,500 miles from the African continent in the middle of the Indian Ocean. According to every history book and encyclopedia, until the 16th century, this island was not inhabited. Today you go there, you can see the sugarcane fields up to 13 feet high. You go through those dense fields and you can see the stone structures. You climb to the top of one of them, in front of you, beautiful view of pyramids, total of 7. Geometry is obvious. 4 sides, triangle faces, plateau on the top, 4 corners, volcanic stone, cornerstones nicely shaped. I calculated that it took 25,000 tons of shaped volcanic material to build those structures. I sent my scientific report to the government of Mauritius, suggesting that we should investigate their pyramids together. And I got the answer back. Dr. Osmanagić, we don't have pyramids. What you are referring there, they're just pile of rocks, made by local farmers while de-rocking the area, so they could plant sugarcane fields 100 years ago. So who to believe? The government or our own eyes? What is their problem? Since the island was officially not inhabited until 16th century, and then white Europeans came from Portugal, Italy, Spain, Holland, and UK. And as you know, Europeans never built pyramids. So in order to answer that question, they would need to change their history too. Governments don't like that. I had a press conference in Mauritius, and the next day, the biggest newspaper, L'Express, they had an article saying this bright Bosnian wants to reinvent our history. But we know that he is wrong. We don't have pyramids. The Mayan civilization built 100,000 pyramids in what's today known as the countries of Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Belize. For the longest time, this one was considered the largest. In the northern Guatemalan province of Petén, the Mayan city of Tikal. The height, 94 meters or 310 feet. However, 12 years ago, 3 days walk from Tikal, another city was discovered, El Mirador, completely in the jungle. And this is their biggest pyramid, 335 feet, completely untouched. If cleaned, it should look like this. And the complete Mayan city of Tikal could get in those two biggest pyramids in El Mirador. You come to Palenque, in Mexican state of Chiapas, one of the most beautiful Mayan cities. This is the first view at the entrance of National Park. You would say just a little hill covered by trees, but this is the first pyramid that you can see. Of course, much better known view is the Temple of Inscription, Stepstone Pyramid. But last time I was there in August, I could finally see that they started the excavation under the pyramid. They discovered tunnels that connect 3 pyramids to the right. Now they are saying probably there is a network under the whole city, and most probably there are tunnels that connect Mayan cities in what's today known as Mexican states of Tabasco and Chiapas. That's what they are saying today, and I was writing about it 12 years ago. To the left, covered by forest, is the biggest and oldest pyramid in Palenque. Here it is. Archaeologists do not have any intention to uncover those, because the oldest is the biggest and the most superior. They have cleaned 25-step pyramids, but in Palenque there are 1,529 pyramids. 99% of the city is still in the middle of the jungle. The biggest pyramid in the Mayan city of San Andres looks like a hill. If completely clean, this is the original look. El Chuatan, the Mayan city in El Salvador, the biggest pyramid there, only at the bottom we can see the stone blocks or steps. Western Honduras, the most artistic Mayan city of Copan. In 1987 and 1989, archaeologists from US and Honduras were cleaning the pyramids from the trees and roots. And they discovered that inside the biggest pyramid, there was 700 years older temple, which they named the Rosalila temple, due to its rose color. In this particular case, pyramid was used to protect something much more important. Above the entrance, we can see the symbol for the solar system. Above that symbol, the white one, is a symbol for the center of our galaxy, Milky Way, which Mayan called Hunab Ku. And to the left and to the right, as we can see behind this handsome guy, there is something like a vehicle with the wheels on both ends, body of the vehicle, and a cabin. And inside the cabin, we can see the Mayan face with their characteristic big noses. What is the message in the stone? Are they telling us that they were able somehow to move between the center of our solar system and the core of the galaxy? In one of the survived 5 Mayan books, codexes, which is called Dresden Codex, 140 years ago, we partially deciphered one of the Mayan messages, in which the symbols for our solar system and our galaxy, with a number which was a little bit less than 26,000 years, were present. At that time, we had no clue what was the message, because our astronomical knowledge was simply not there to understand the message from 4,000 years. After 100 years of investigation using the modern telescopes and computers, we finally figured out that the Mayan were saying that our solar system moves within our galaxy Milky Way, and it takes 25,920 years for one full cycle, which, by the way, ends on December 21st, 2012. And the new one starts. The tiny Belize, the former British Honduras, was a home for 1,000 Mayan cities, towns, villages, and every one of them would have several pyramids. 99% still in the middle of the jungle. The Mayan city of Casablanca, the pyramid has been restored just partially. South America, 50 miles south from famous Nazca lines, the area of Cavaci. 7 years ago, Italian archaeologists told me that they discovered 3 stone pyramids. 4 years ago, now they are talking about 34 pyramids. Who built this city of pyramids? Everything they tell us about it is wrong. They are saying the name of the city was Sun City. We don't know its real name. They are telling us it was built by the Nazca culture. Never in Peruvian history culture by that name existed. They are saying it was built 1,800 years ago. And I asked them if they found any organic material inside the structures. They said, yes, we found some female bones. And radiocarbon dating showed the age of 4,500 years. I asked them, how is it possible to have bone 4,500 years old inside the structure which is only 1,800 years old? What is their problem? Officially, Peruvian history is only 3,000 years old. We are going to the north of this beautiful country, the area of Tucumán, 200 pyramids. You clean the desert sand a little bit, and then you are finding the walls. We can see the signs of vertical erosion here. Obviously, the pyramid has been exposed to the rain and storms. Well, the problem for the mainstream science is that for 7,000 years, the climate has been the same. Dry, sunny, no rain. So when did we have those storms? 8,000 years ago, 15,000, 50,000 years ago, when those pyramids were built then. We go to the northeast of this beautiful country. Near the town of Trujillo, the Pyramid of the Sun, or Huaca del Sol, the largest pyramidal structure on South American soil. What we have today is just 1/3 of the original structure. When the Spanish came in the 16th century, when they saw such a huge pyramid, in their quest for gold, what they decided to do was to move the nearby river Moche to the pyramid, and the water took about 2/3 of the structure. They didn't find the gold. They destroyed the structure almost completely. But even what we have today, with the surface equals 6 football stadiums, 150 million bricks are still here. Across Huaca de la Luna, the Pyramid of the Moon, in another 150 million bricks, archaeologists are saying 30,000 people would need to work 300 years to build this complex. For 30,000 people, you would need to have a city of 100,000 people to support the construction workers. A slight problem with that. For 100,000 workers, you need a city of 100,000 homes. So far, they discovered 2 homes. Even if they discovered the traces of more, why would somebody start building the city, which will take 300 years, and the completion will not be seen by the grandchildren of their grandchildren? The most northern city with the pyramids in Mexico is Tula. According to encyclopedias, it was the capital for Toltecs from the 8th to 12th century. Now, on the top of one reconstructed pyramid, we can see 8 stone columns, which, according to the legends, Toltecs called Atlanteans. They were saying for themselves that they came from the east, from the Red Land. To the east, from Mexico, is the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Every column shows the face of different races, different colors, from different continents. Black and white and red and yellow and brown. This is the 8th century. They are telling us that only when white Europeans started sailing in the 16th century from Europe to Meso and South America, the communication between the continents started. Well, they're teaching us wrong. The communication was there, not thousands, but tens of thousands of years before superior white Europeans came to American continents. The Kukulkan Pyramid is the best known pyramid in the Mayan world, in Chichen Itza. On 4 sides, we have the stairways, 91 steps. 91 times 4, 364. When adding the platform on the top, 365, the number of days in our solar calendars. A lot of astronomical, mathematical, and geometrical knowledge have been incorporated in this pyramid. Almost the same design, but this time 8,000 miles to the east, the Cambodia Koh-Ker Pyramid, 30 miles to the east from Angkor Wat. We don't know who, when, or why. And going more to the east, another 2,000 miles, Korean Peninsula in what's called today South Korea, near the town of Andong, 3-step stone pyramid. Again, we don't know its origin. Monte Alban is the second largest ceremonial center on Mexican soil. The ancient builders, and we really don't know who they were, leveled the top of the mountain. From one end to another, the difference is less than 1 inch. And they built city of pyramids. Some of them completely restored, some of them still need more money to get cleaned. The Chinese pyramids have been mystery for the outside world for the longest time. 1967, the Chinese archaeologist who was investigating them at a conference in Japan said that 250 of them are in the central Chinese province of Shanxi. He found clay tablets with some type of the hieroglyphic writings. And after he partially deciphered them, he said, the pyramids were built 12,500 years ago. He came back to China, and they put him in the mental hospital. And after that, nobody heard about him. The year is 1967, the first year of the famous Chinese Cultural Revolution. If you state something differently than the mainstream view, you would have troubles. Officially, the Chinese history is 5,000 years. Officially, the history of the advanced Chinese civilizations, 2,500 years. Everything started, according to them, with the Emperor Qin, who united in the blood 7 provinces, who started building the Great Chinese Wall. So how come we have something so advanced 10,000 years before the Emperor Qin? So the Chinese government in the late 1960s, 1970s, and the first half of 1980s started planting the trees on the top of their pyramids, wanting to show them as the natural hills to the outside world. But thanks to the satellite technology, we were able to locate all of them. And we can see there is a difference. 20 of them are big, 230 of them are small. And not only that. The biggest Chinese pyramids are the most superior, built from granite and sandstone blocks. The smallest one, inferior, built from the mud bricks. The Chinese government, according to their archaeologists, is giving them permission to investigate only the small ones. They are finding a lot of archaeological material that do belong to the very concrete Chinese emperors. But the biggest one, they don't have permission because it's going to change the Chinese history. South America, Bolivia, 13,000 feet above the sea level, next to the Lake Titicaca, the pyramid complex of Acapena, the step stone pyramids. Today, not much left from them, covered by soil, grass. However, we can see the granite blocks belonging to the pyramids laying around. The German Bolivian mathematician and archaeologist Mr. Poznański spent 50 years of his life investigating those structures. And he concluded that their age is 17,000 years. Well, officially they are telling us that everything started with Sumer, 8,000 years ago. Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, ancient Egypt, ancient India. So now we need to go another 10,000 years before that. When you see some of the blocks, they perfectly fit each other. They're made from granite. On a Mach scale, from 1 to 10, granite is number 6.5. Very hard, the hardest material in nature. Today we would need the diamond tools to shape them. Archaeologists are saying the only tools they had until 2,000 years back were the copper tools. On the same scale, from 1 to 10, copper is number 3, inferior to granite. You cannot shape superior materials with the inferior tools. Today we would use diamond tools. Some of the blocks are perfectly straight, laser straight, and some of them obviously were machined. So who had diamond tools, lasers, and machines 17,000 years ago? This is the look of the most known pyramid in Mesoamerica, the Pyramid of the Sun in the city of Teotihuacan 150 years ago. It took 3 archaeological campaigns, which lasted 75 years, American and Mexican archaeologists, to completely clean it and reconstruct it. And this is the view we have today. One of the best examples of the pyramid architecture ever. When you're looking to the pyramid from the bottom of it, the tourists who are climbing the top, they're becoming so tiny. And it seems that the builders wanted to reach the sky with this structure. And it did. It is 74 meters high, over 225 feet. Interestingly enough, the Great Pyramid of Egypt is exactly 2 times higher. The base of the Great Pyramid of Egypt is, of course, square. The base of this pyramid in Mexico is square. The length of the base in Egypt, 232 meters. The length of the base here in Mexico, 232 meters. In Egypt, the number pi, 3.14, is incorporated here, root of number pi. In Egypt, 3 big pyramids, Cheops, Khafre, and Mycerium. In Mexico, 3 big pyramids, Sun, Moon, Quetzalcoatl. And their layout is exactly the same. They are telling us that there was no communication between the continents 4,500 years ago, and here we can see the signature of the same architect. Pyramids on the US soil, well, they never taught my son in the schools anything about that. But in reality, we have pyramids here in the US with a surface of 12% larger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. We have not one, but 200 of them in southwestern part of the state of Illinois. They are located in Cahokia National Park. They call them mounds. Well, mounds is something you build from dirt. But in this particular case, they used 4 different construction materials. Sandstone blocks, pebbles, rocks, sand. When they finished the construction, they cut the squares of grass and soil. They would turn it upside down and cover the pyramids. In order to build this structure, they needed an equivalent of 226,000 trucks with the construction material. 226,000 20-ton trucks. How many tens of millions of tons of material to build a complex with 200 pyramids? Everything they tell us about this complex is wrong. They call the city Sun City. We don't know its real name. They're telling us that they were built by Indians. Indian tribes don't have a social structure to build such a huge complex. They're telling us they are built by the Mississippians. Never in American history the Indian tribe by such name existed. All pyramids are 4-sided. And they match the cardinal points. East, west, north, and south. North, cosmic north. The builders who knew the location of the cosmic north were not on tribal level. They were advanced builders. All pyramids but one, the biggest one, that one had the orientations toward the magnetic north at the time of construction. There is a difference between magnetic north and cosmic. Cosmic is more or less fixed. Magnetic moves every year between Canada and Siberia and back. Last year it moved for 27 miles. The builders who knew the difference between magnetic north and cosmic north were not on tribal level. They were very advanced builders. 5 pyramid complexes on Italian soil. Not a word about them in textbooks or history books. This is the biggest one. Monte Vecchio complex in northern Italy, between Milan and Turin. 3 big pyramids completely covered by soil. And their layout is exactly the same like the layout of Giza pyramids, and exactly the same like the layout of pyramids in Teotihuacan, and almost the same like those 3 pyramids in Orion Belt. The Pyramid of the Moon in Mexico, in Teotihuacan, 154 years ago, and today. Every day, 20 to 50,000 tourists come to visit this city. Every year, they leave $5 billion to Mexican economy. Every year, 8 million people visit Egyptian pyramids. And every year, they leave $15.5 billion to Egyptian economy. The archaeological tourism has become an engine for the economies of those countries. And after this short introduction, the biggest and the oldest of all, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. The town of Visoko, 20 miles northwest from the capital city of Sarajevo, 20 minutes drive from the capital city. We have learned that pyramids have nothing to do with the pharaohs or tombs. They are structures, they are geometry, they are constructions. They have to have geometry of the pyramid. 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. Triangular faces, 1, 2. Obvious corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. The same slope from the bottom to the top. And those sides, they meet at apex. So the geometry is there. Let's see how it looks like from the air. Two major rivers, River Fonica, River Bosna, the red roofs of Tano Visoko, the Sun Pyramid, eastern slope, northern slope. In the last 6 years, we have a completely new phenomenon in Southern Europe. For the first time, an archaeological project on a large scale is not run by the Department of Archaeology at the universities, by national museums, by ministries of cultures, by people who are paid to do their job, but by the non-profit, non-government foundation called the Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. 7 years ago, I first came to this town of Visoko. I came to visit the local museum, so my visit had nothing to do with pyramids. But when I saw the hill in a perfect shape of pyramid, the triangular faces, I took compass and compass showed me east, west, north, south, the cardinal points. I immediately knew that we had an artificial structure below the layers of soil, because it's exactly the same case I saw in China, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and other countries. When I announced the news about the discovery in October 2005, I have received thousands and thousands of emails of support. So I said to myself, this is not a one-man show. So I started with this non-profit foundation, and so far we have spent over 300,000 hours on archaeological digging, sample testing, lab analysis, and radiocarbon dating. And we have concluded that in the town of Visoko we have a complex of at least 5 pyramids, which we named the Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, Earth, and Love, and under the valley, huge network of underground tunnels and chambers, and the whole complex we named the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. The orientation was always important for the builders of the original pyramids. All 250 of them in China are oriented to the north. All old Egyptian pyramids, north. Most of the Peruvian pyramids, north. All Cahokia pyramids, north. So far we thought that the best orientation is of the northern side of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. The error from perfect north is 0 degrees and 2 minutes. The fraction of 1 degree. The Bosnian State Institute for Geodesy came to the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. They used proper scientific tools and concluded the error from the perfect north is 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and only 12 seconds. Never in human history such precise orientation has been achieved like in the case of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. On this nice 3D topographic map, we can clearly see the corners, one between west and north, between north and east, between east and south. We can see the causeway, which is completely paved, 800 feet by 250 feet, with sandstone plates. And we can see the flat plateau on the top. All original pyramids in China, Egypt, Peru, Mexico, and in Bosnia would have a capstone, pyramidion they called it, which was always from the better material, granite, gold-plated granite, or gold. And all original pyramidions are missing today. They were systematically removed. 3 main pyramids in Bosnia, the Sun, the Moon, and Dragon, form a perfect equilateral triangle when we connect their tops. The distance between them 2,170 meters. Inner angles at 60 degrees. The tops of the Love Pyramid, Earth, and River Fonica gives us another equilateral triangle. Triangle within triangle, the sacred geometry. The center of all these triangles is very important, because if we use it, we extend those triangles to the natural landmarks, like the places where the rivers meet. We are getting another triangle, and we are getting base for the flower of life. And then again, if we use the same center, we are getting base for the sacred cube. Who had means and possibilities thousands and thousands of years back to survey the valley from the air? To the right is the shadow of the Sun Pyramid. To the left, the western slope of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. The date is June 21st, the summer solstice. Just before the sunset, we can see that the shadow of the Sun Pyramid formed another pyramid, the same in height, like the Moon Pyramid. And they touch each other exactly at the bottom. 2 months later, we are still following the shadow of the Sun Pyramid. To the left is going towards the western slope of the Moon Pyramid, 6:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m. The shadow completely covers the Moon Pyramid. With the top of the shadow touches the top of the Moon Pyramid. In symbolical way, it's saying that the rule of the day and the sun is over, and the rule of the night and the moon is coming. I have seen hundreds of the Sun and the Moon pyramids in the Middle and South America, but never noticed similar obvious astronomical phenomena. What the ancient builders did, they built the Sun Pyramid first. They were watching the shadow during the sunset, and that's where they decided the location of the other pyramid will be. And the height of the pyramid, they determined based on the height of the shadow. Genius. We've applied satellite thermal analysis. So, we got the valley of the pyramids filmed during the day and during the night. And we were checking the temperatures and the heat loss. If you have an artificial structure, the heat loss is very quick due to the existence of the passageways and chambers. But if you have natural hills, they are very compact, so the heat loss is very slow. This analysis, very sophisticated, has shown that the biggest heat loss is in the case of the Sun Pyramid, Moon Pyramid, Dragon, and Love Pyramid. And then we asked our friend Dr. Harry Oldfield from the UK to apply his PIP camera to our archaeological site. He claimed that this camera can film what he called bioenergy fields, which are not visible by naked human eye. So he came to Bosnia, he filmed a point in natural hill first, and we can see that those bioenergy fields are all horizontal, green and blue and red and green and blue and orange and so on. And then he filmed a Bosnian village. Above the village, we can see those horizontal bioenergy fields. And finally, he did the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Here it is. And then we can see that those energy fields are all vertical. 1969, Egyptians invited geophysicists from Japan. They asked for their help to find a mummy and chambers and passageways in the second biggest pyramid, the Khafre Pyramid. The Japanese came with their instruments. They couldn't find the mummies, but what they did find was that every 10 minutes energy field of the pyramid changes. They were shocked. Egyptians threw them out of the country. They said, "We don't care about the energy properties of pyramids. Find us mummies." The same attitude is present today. After a decade and a half of the rule of the pharaoh Zahi Hawass, a good friend of his, Professor Mohammed Ibrahim Ali, do not let energy experts investigate their pyramids. The same thing in China and Mexico. And as a matter of fact, we in Bosnia are the only one who are open for the mainstream scientists, conservative scientists, alternative scientists, spiritual scientists. We welcome everyone. The knowledge and those sites, they belong to everyone. Not to little foundations or little archaeological societies or little countries. They are cultural heritage of the world. So for the first time you will be able to see the energy fields above one of the active pyramids. Look at the red color inside the pyramid. More and more red. It's the energy that's got accumulated. We got more and more energy. It got released to the very top. It's hitting those horizontal bioenergy fields. They are becoming vertical. Now, we have filmed this pyramid in spring and summer and fall and winter. And we got those vertical fields all the time, meaning that the energy is going through the pyramids all the time. It's active 365 days a year. Now this guy's got fueled up and then he's leaving. A few words about the archaeology. We have opened 19 archaeological trenches on the Sun Pyramid. A corner between north and east, and all other locations are showing us the construction material. Northeast corner, the year is 2006, we removed about 3 feet of soil and we are finding the corner, the place where two sides meet at 45 degrees. Archaeological trench number 4C, we removed about 3 feet of layers of soil and we are finding rectangular blocks, 15 feet by 5 feet by 1.5 feet, 7 tons. 16,000 pounds. We have flat top, break at 90 degrees, flat side, break at 90, flat bottom. We have 6 flat sides, 6 breaks at 90 degrees. Obviously, it is not work of Mother Nature, but of the intelligent hands. Next to this block is another one. They obviously form the same slope of the pyramid. The third one, and so on. But just the first row of blocks. Below, there is a second row of blocks. Below that one is the third row of blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Typical construction. We took samples from those blocks and sent them to 6 institutes for materials in Bosnia, in France, in Italy. From the Institute for Construction, from Tuzla, from Bosnia, they said that this was a pure artificial construction material. From the Institute for Materials, from the University of Sarajevo, they said that the sample they analyzed was a man-made concrete. Concrete. 2 properties of concrete determine the quality of the concrete. The first one is hardness. The harder the concrete, the better the quality. Our modern concretes are in the range from 10 to 60 megapascals. 60 megapascals are the best quality concrete made in the US and Germany for the custom projects. The sample they analyzed has shown the hardness of 73.6 megapascals, harder than any concrete that we can make today. The second property is the water absorption. If the water can get inside the concrete block during the winter, it freezes and then it breaks. So the idea is to keep the water absorption very low. Our norms up to 3%. This particular sample, 1%. Superior. It explains the durability of the concrete blocks on Bosnian pyramids. Professor Pasić from University of Zenica has analyzed 50 samples. And some of the samples were reaching unbelievable level of 133 megapascals. Never in human history such a good quality concrete was made like the one that covers the largest pyramid on the planet. In his scientific report, Professor Pasić is saying the builders of the Bosnian pyramids used readily available materials. We can see rocks and pebbles and sand. And for the binding material, they used clay, a lot of clay around. They would ground the clay, mix it with the water, heat it up to 400 degrees, and when liquid, clay is becoming a binding agent. The ancient Romans knew that over 2,000 years ago. And still, in every scientific book, they are saying that the ancient Romans invented the concrete and the clay as the binding material. 6 years ago, I met the president of the Bosnian Academy of Sciences, and I asked him, Professor, when are you going to come to Visoko to see our pyramids? And he told me, you claim that those pyramids are made from concrete. Everybody knows, and you can read in every book, that concrete was invented by the ancient Romans only 2,000 years ago. You claim that they are much older than ancient Roman concrete, it's impossible. Therefore, you don't have concrete and you don't have pyramids. He turned his back and he left. After that, not a single member of the Bosnian Academy of Sciences came to Visoko. And those who who wanted to become members of Bosnian Academy, and if they were working with us, they had to start the cooperation on our project. When people got elected as the presidents of academies, as deans of faculties, rectors, directors of archaeological institutes, they think that the knowledge and the science stops with them. And then they become an obstacle for scientific progress. Doesn't matter if we are 25 or 75, we have to stay open for the new progressive ideas, even if they are revolutionary. That's why it was very interesting to see what the descendants of those ancient Romans will tell us. We sent samples to the most distinguished Italian Institute for Construction, Politecnico di Torino in Turin. And they told us what we already knew, that the binding material for the concrete was produced by clay heating process. And finally, we sent our samples to the most famous explorer of the ancient concretes, Dr. Joseph Davidovits of France. He wrote 25 books about building of Egyptian pyramids and the new science called geopolymer science. He got the medals from the French government. He is advisor to the European Union. He is the one who claimed in 1979 that the blocks of the Giza pyramids were actually poured on site. Everybody attacked him at that time. 15 years he was ignored and boycotted until he experimentally proved that in 1994. Well, he got our samples and he told me this was a man-made concrete. He put it under electronic microscope and the analysis has shown the existence of what he called geopolymer cement, the artificial binding agent. We've invited two leading Russian geophysicists, Professor Kavroshkin and Professor Tsiplakov from the Schmidt Institute of the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences. 6 years ago, they were at my lecture in Egypt, organized by the Ministry of Culture. They told me at that time they were researching Egyptian pyramids with their instruments. They would place their instruments on all four sides of pyramids. They would hit it and they were checking the vibrations, the frequencies. They repeated the experiment with the natural hills. And of course the results were different. The hills were compact. The pyramids, artificial structures, non-compact. Armed with those results, they came to Bosnia. They spent 2 seasons working independently from us. When they processed the information, they concluded the results for the Bosnian pyramids match results for Egyptian pyramids. Therefore, they are artificial structures. And not only that, they said the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is non-compact material only. So it's not a product of the geological accumulation over millions of years. And finally, they said from the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 280 meters, over 950 feet, they discovered the network of tunnels under the pyramid. And we are not there yet. So, 4 years ago, they submitted the report to the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences. And they concluded that this discovery was one of the biggest, not only in archaeology, but in science in general. This academy is a home for dozens of Nobel Prize winners. And after this report, they admitted me as the youngest member of the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences. And when I came back home to Bosnia, rumors in the Bosnian Academy was Osmanagić paid the Russians to admit him. So, in Bosnia we had the war 92 to 95. Economy was destroyed. 10 years after we got discovery of the first European pyramids, the biggest on the planet. So for every normal person that would be a chance for science and economy to move ahead. You would expect that everybody would line up behind you. From the day one, we were removing the layers of soil from the Bosnian pyramids, exposing those concrete blocks to the public. And of course, showing our typical Bosnian productivity. One is working, 100 is watching. And on top of that, one is holding a speech. Well, the total support did not happen. They attacked us very aggressively from the cultural establishment. Professors of archaeology and history and geologists from Sarajevo University, they were saying there were no pyramids in Bosnia because we did not have pharaohs. And hundreds of thousands of slaves. So who built them? From the National Museum, they're saying, oh, we systematically checked everything long time before. No pyramids there. When we started excavation, none of them shown up in Visoko. And they signed a petition, 25 of them, leading Bosnian archaeologists and geologists, asking the Bosnian government not to let us start excavation. In April 2006, we did start the excavation. 2 weeks later, the Bosnian Prime Minister came. He saw those rectangular blocks. He said, well, this is man-made concrete. He saw thousands of tourists. He said, well, this is good for the economy. Mr. Osmanagić, keep working and don't worry about the jealous scientists. So we kept working, but those... That's just the beginning of the story. So those jealous scientists, they wrote a letter to the head of the European Archaeological Association, Dr. Anthony Harding in the UK, asking him for help to stop us. Dr. Harding started writing articles in the UK and the US against us, claiming this was the biggest hoax performed by the people who don't know the pyramids or the archaeology. They should be stopped. They destroy existing archaeological sites. He never came to the site, by the way. We did not bother about his writings. So he organized signing of the second petition, which was signed by 85 leading American, British, French, and German archaeologists, anthropologists, geologists, historians. Without seeing the place, they were saying it's a hoax, it should be stopped. Bosnian government rejected the second petition. But now, Harding and his friends, they got upset. So they wrote letters to the national European archaeological associations in Italy, France, Germany, Croatia, asking them to boycott the project. And if they do go to Bosnia, they were threatened that they won't be able to find a job in their respective countries when they go back. So the year is 2006, 2007, 2008. I don't have archaeologists from Europe. I said, fine. I asked the Egyptian government to send me 3 experts in 2006. The first one to come was Dr. Ali Barakat. 4 decades of experience in geology and archaeology. He spent 52 days In Bosnia, he wrote a scientific report which he read at the press conference on June 23rd in Sarajevo. He finished his report with the words, "The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is a man-made pyramid." A big boost for us, a big slap in the face for those experts. So, from the National Museum, the very same day, June 23rd, the letter is going to Ali Barakat's boss, the pharaoh, Dr. Zahi Hawass. And she's saying, your man was in Bosnia. He confirmed that pyramids exist. It's impossible. You need to stop him. Do whatever you need to do. 2 days later, June 25th, according to Mohammed Ibrahim Ali, who told me all that 3 years back, there was a meeting between the Ministry of Tourism of Egyptian government, Ministry of Culture of Egyptian government, and his Supreme Council of Antiquities, with one topic on agenda: the effects of Bosnian pyramid discovery on tourism in Egypt. Most of the tourists that visit Egypt come from Europe, UK, France, Poland, and Russia. Now, Egypt is in Africa, and Bosnia happens to be in Europe. So imagine 20% of tourists instead in Africa coming to the southern Europe. 20% of $15.5 billion that they make is over $3 billion. Bosnian pyramid discovery is not a local issue. It's a global, scientific, economical, political issue. After the meeting, Dr. Hawass is coming in front of hundreds of TV crews and reporters with the words, "The Bosnian pyramids do not exist. The so-called concrete blocks are actually natural blocks. Dr. Barakat is no expert in pyramids, and Osmanagić is hallucinating." Dr. Ali Barakat, who wrote books about building of Egyptian pyramids, who was on National Geographic, he came back to his office at the Ministry of Geology in Cairo, and they fired him because he dared to speak his scientific mind without checking with his superiors first. And what did we do? We kept hallucinating and opened the project for the volunteers from all over the world. And they did come at their own expense, because for the first time the opportunity was given to non-professionals. They did not have to be professors, students of archaeology, or archaeologists, or geologists. They just had to be good intentional people, ready to be an active part of history-changing process. So they are helping us removing the layers of soil from the concrete blocks. And such an enthusiasm has never been recorded in archaeological history. And it lasted for 3 weeks. When the Bosnian State Commission for the National Monument Preservation changed the law, and the whole pyramid they claimed as the protected area, not because of the pyramid, but because of a very small medieval fortress which had been neglected for 550 years and which was 1,300 feet away from the sections that we were working on. Well, according to the law, even if it is protected monument, you can get permission if you supply the project and the proof that you have people, experts, tools, money, and so on. So we did write a project together with the biggest archaeological faculty in the world, the one from Cairo University. They have more graduated students a year than every European country put together. So every normal country would be happy that the leading Egyptian archaeologists come to your country. Every normal country. In our case, from Federal Institute for National Monuments, rejected our project documentation 3 times without any written explanation. And their boss, the Minister for Culture, was saying publicly in the front of TV, while his minister, the foundation will never get permission to dig there. Unfortunately, he was minister during 2 terms. And they formed organized group of 8 of them, ministers, presidents of certain commissions, and they were distributed the tasks. You don't let him get the permissions, you cut the funds, you boycott the media, you don't let him to go to UNESCO. And the journalists and the owners of several magazines in Bosnia were writing against everyone who would go to visit the pyramids. Despite everything, we were working. I was spending my savings. I got the business in Houston. So they could not figure out how come they are doing all this and we are still working there. So the easiest way to stop that is to discredit the head of the project. So they started writing against me. Among other things, they were saying Osmanagić got his fortune. I wish that I had a fortune. Got his fortune during 1990s in Russia, working with Russian mafia. Of all the countries that I visited, I've never been in Russia until 5 years back. So what did we do? Well, we sued the government. For 4 years, our file was in drawers. And finally, last year, they made a decision. The court ruling was that for the first time, one small non-profit foundation won the case against the government. So this summer of 2012, we went back to work on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, removing new cubic feet of the material, our archaeological trench number 4A, 4C, more and more concrete, number 5A, number 5B, number 10, number 12. In 2010, when we organized our first international summer camp for volunteers, for the first time, archaeologists from 6 European countries showed up. From Italy, France, Spain, UK, Hungary, and Croatia. They were showing me the letters, those young volunteers, archaeologists, that they were getting the threats from their professors not to go to Bosnia. They did spend archaeological season with us. They went back. Our archaeologist Sara showed me the letter from her professor from University of Milan when he went back, in which he's saying, you will never be able to find a job in Italy as the archaeologist anymore, and I'll personally take care of that. But she was saying, our individual destinies are less important than the global importance of this project. We were working on the other pyramid, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, which is, design-wise, a little bit different. We have sandstone plates, nicely shaped. Now, again, archaeologists, geologists from their cozy offices from Sarajevo, Tuzla, and Paris, and London, and Boston, and New Orleans were saying, there is nothing there, it's all natural. Even those who claim to be open-minded, alternative scientists, like our friend Dr. Schock. He was saying it's all natural. Really, is Mother Nature capable of shaping those blocks on all 6 sides, 6 times breaks at 90 degrees, and then transport them from the quarry 2 miles to the place where they built the pyramid, and then laying them out so perfectly that they form this line? and then connecting them with artificial binding material, and then building more steps? Or is it work of intelligent hands? You make your own conclusions. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, 190 meters, 630 feet. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, 147, 450. 47 archaeological trenches we've opened from the bottom to the top. Wherever we are digging, we are finding the pavements, the terraces, rectangular structures, vertical walls, more terraces, steps, shaped blocks and plates, more walls. In other words, below the layers of soil is a huge stone structure in the shape of the pyramid, with the triangular faces, with the perfect orientation. We are at the top of the moon pyramid. We removed 3 feet of soil, and then we are finding terraces made from sandstone blocks. The first, the second, the third one, and then we cut the hole. And let's see who we found in the hole. The profile of the moon pyramid, the first row of blocks, 4 inches of clay, the binding material. The second row of blocks, 4 inches of clay. The third row of blocks, 4 inches of clay. The ancient builders were wise. They knew properties of the natural construction materials. For clay, they knew that besides it was exceptional binder, it was waterproof, it had thermal insulation, and finally, it gives flexibility to the structure. During the earthquakes, the structure does not collapse, it breathes, and then it goes back to the original position. The bottom of the moon pyramid, the first terrace, large plates, and then clay as the construction material. The medium size, clay as the construction material. The small size, small, medium, large, the Fibonacci formula. The geologists come there, they're looking at the clay, they're saying, oh, it's natural, it's geological sedimentation. Really? They do not know that all 250 Chinese pyramids are built from clay. Yes, 5 minutes. No, I started 30 minutes later.
Oh, you did?
Yes. When they stripped one of the pyramids of the soil and vegetation, 90% of it is clay. And even in underground tunnels, clay, 80%. Some of the sandstone plates and bricks. Now, how old are those Bosnian pyramids? They're all covered by soil. If we can figure out the age of soil, then we can give the minimum age of the pyramid. The science that investigates the origin of soil is called pedology. The Bosnian State Institute for Pedology, run by the Professor Rasulović, took samples from the Bosnian pyramids of the sun and the moon, and they concluded in their written scientific report that the age of the soil is between 12 and 15,000 years. If the soil is 12 to 15,000 years, it means that the structure itself is even older than that. This summer, June 2012, our volunteers, run by the young archaeologists from Italy, Niccolo Visconti, were extending one of the archaeological trenches, removing the layers of soil and the clay, and below the soil and on the top of the concrete block, they discovered organic material. That was fossilized leaf. The structure was already there. The wind was blowing, bringing that piece of leaf, and it remained there. Now, that piece of organic material can give us the age, the minimum again, of the pyramid. We sent it to the radiocarbon lab, this time in Kiev, Ukraine, and they gave us the age. It is 24,800 years plus minus 200 years. 25,000 years is just the minimum age of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Everything we touch in Bosnia forever changes our view of the ancient history. The first pyramids in Europe, the biggest, the largest on the planet, the most precise orientation on the planet, the best quality concrete on the planet, and now the oldest pyramids on the planet. The history books will have to be changed. It's not enough to add one little paragraph at the beginning. Because when you change the beginning, everything else that follows has to be changed. The PhDs are not good anymore. Professorships, either. The way they teach our kids is wrong. So what are we going to do? Are we going to change all that from little Sarajevo in the UK and the US? Or are we going to try to stop this little non-profit foundation and this little guy? Now, how come that the Bosnian pyramids are older than Egyptian ones? You know that we in Bosnia tend to build everything without the construction permit. So while we were building ours, the Egyptians were waiting in the line to get theirs. But really, what was happening thousands and thousands of years back, 12,000, 25,000 years back? Well, what they tell us, mainstream scientists, is nothing. Cavemen, really? Do they read about the sensational discoveries in the last 15 years on the bottom of the Pacific floor? 13 underwater cities between Yonaguni, Taiwan, and the mainland China were discovered 500 kilometers, 350 miles of the roads that connects them. Pyramidal structure with temple on the top. The Japanese scientists were saying immediately, it's all natural. Well, 250 feet below the sea level. They knew that the people will start asking questions who and when. Of course, those structures were never built below the sea level. They were on the surface. The Pacific Ocean is the largest body of water on the planet. Imagine how much water you would need to raise the level for 1 inch. And 250 feet. You would need a global catastrophe. Yes, we know when did it happen. 12,500 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. Huge quantities of ice melted from Europe, Asia, North America, and the Pacific Ocean rose for 250 feet. Atlantic, 360 feet. The civilizations vanished. 99% of humanity was gone. Those who survived in underground tunnels and the caves on the top of the mountains, when they got back, they had to start from the beginning, and there's the time of the Neolithic man. Eastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, 45 T-shaped megaliths, some of them reaching 75 tons, obviously not the product of the caveman. Well, who built those? Not primitive man? The human remnants were found. They're going back to 13,000 years, below the end of the last ice age. So, American anthropologists are saying this simply should not be there. Well, it's there. Can one stone block change the history of humanity? Yes, in eastern Lebanon, Baalbek, we got blocks of 1,280 tons. Our technology, our cranes, can move 350 tons. We have something which is 4 times heavier. If we want to prove the existence of the more advanced civilizations, we don't need to go metaphysical. The proofs are in material world. Machu Picchu, we think that we know everything about this location. Every history book, every textbook, every encyclopedia, every reference on the internet is saying one thing and one thing only. That was royal retreat for Incas from the 13th to the first half of the 16th century. Every book, but one. Mine. 4 distinctive civilizations. The first one were maneuvering with the 250 tons blocks. The top of the Machu Picchu, 10,000 feet above the sea level, in the remote area between the Andes and the Amazon. But that's not the only problem. Physical chemical analysis is saying that this material is nowhere to find in the radius of 120 miles. The closest place is Bolivia. Who moved 250 tons to the top of the mountain? Today it would be a logistic nightmare for us. The second civilization, blocks of tens of tons, perfectly fit each other, no binding material. The third one, thousands of years passed, and the Incas came. They used the small stones, separated the rooms, built the primitive roofs, and that's where they were bringing their royals. They are telling us that history of humanity is evolutionary. They are telling us in the beginning we were cavemen, and now we are the most developed, the most intelligent, and the most beautiful. They are wrong, because we are not. If you carefully look at this site, we will be able to see the builders themselves. We rotate for 90 degrees this side, and what do we see? We see the face. We see the nose and lips and cheek and eye. We see the builders themselves in a tree mountain in front of Machu Picchu. So they were not leaving the messages in stone. They were doing terraforming on a large scale, 55,000 years ago. Go back to Bosnia. First International Scientific Conference on Bosnian Pyramids, 2008. 55 scientists from 20 countries concluded that the Bosnian pyramids are archaeological phenomena, not natural. Dr. Nabil Selam, 3 times PhD in archaeology. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is the biggest in the world. For 2 years he claimed that. He went back to Egypt. They put a lot of pressure on him. They said, you're going to lose your retirement because you are a traitor. So now he distanced himself from the project. American archaeologist Professor Ezra Zubrov came to Bosnia. He is from Buffalo State University. After he saw the stuff in Bosnia, he said, you need to find out who built the Bosnian pyramids. When they were built, we got him on camera, on YouTube, and his colleagues from New York saw that. They put a lot of pressure on him, so he distanced himself from the project. German archaeologists found that this beautiful, fine ceramic pyramid 2 miles from the Bosnian pyramids. So Neolithic man was looking. No forest on the pyramids then, and he was making his artistic products 6,500 years ago. That's one option. The other one, maybe even during those times, we had a lot of tourists in Bosnia. So this was the first souvenir for them. 2011, second scientific conference, 27 scientists concluded that we do have the most important archaeological project in the world. History books have to be changed. All our conferences were boycotted because Associated Press, France Press, Reuters, it's not what they wanted to hear. 2012, another conference. Now we're talking about the purpose of pyramids. Next year, 2013, 1 week in September, we're going to have a travel package with a tour of the pyramids, stone spheres, and other phenomena with people like Klaus Donau of Austria, Philip Coppens, Dr. J.J. Hurtak, and the others. You have the free flyers in the back. So, we spent 5 years proving that we have a big construction complex. We don't intend to spend another 100 years convincing everyone that we have pyramids. We need to move on. We need to find out the purpose of pyramids. Archaeologists, geologists, anthropologists cannot help us. Nobody has taught them about the real purpose of pyramids. We needed help from the experts from the energy phenomena. The first one to come was the physicist from Zagreb, Croatia, Dr. Mizrak. He came with his 10-member team. They were checking electromagnetic fields on the nearby hills, no anomalies. On the Sun Pyramid, around it, no anomaly, until they came to the very top of the pyramid. In a radius of 13 feet, he detected electromagnetic field of 28 kilohertz frequency. This frequency does not come freely in the nature. You have to have a machine to generate it. He got back from this radius, no detection. He got back in the center of it, yes, he detected again. It meant Electromagnetic field does not go left and right on the surface, it goes up as the energy beam. Engineer Goran Marjanović from Serbia came independently with his equipment and he detected the same frequency, 28 kilohertz. Heikki Savolainen from Finland, sound engineer, detected the same thing. Professor De Bertolis from Italy, same thing. In science, when you have 4 teams who come at 4 different times using their equipment independently, and they found out that there is the same phenomenon, it is called international verification. So, the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia does emit this energy beam. We can believe or we cannot believe. We can think it's possible or we can think it's impossible. It doesn't matter what we think. Opinions are irrelevant in science. What counts is scientific argument, testing, measurements, lab results, dating. And this one is telling us that the Sun Pyramid is producing 28 kilohertz frequency in a radius of 13 feet continuously. During all seasons, it's focused energy beam. And then we measure the strength of the signal. On the bottom of the pyramid, 10 feet higher, another 10 feet higher. Every time we raised the antenna, the signal was stronger and stronger. Wow. Now, the physicists could not believe their eyes. They were saying, well, our technology, which we can call Hertzian technology, is telling us, closer to the source, the stronger the signal. You move away, the signal is getting weaker. However, since everything is upside down in Bosnia, our pyramids work differently. You move away, the signal is stronger. Let's call this non-Hertzian phenomenon. Today in 21st century, we don't have technology that uses this phenomenon. However, the guy who was born 200 miles to the west from Bosnian pyramids did experimenting with this type of technology in 1899 and 1900 in his lab in Colorado Springs. And his name was Nikola Tesla. He invented what we know today as a Tesla's coil, the transformer. So he was generating energy beams, sending them from one end of his lab 55 feet to another end. He was able to light up the fluorescent bulb, even if it was burned. And just before they are going to burn down his lab, he did the last experiment. He sent an energy beam from his lab to the ionosphere around our planet. Energy beam reflected, and it was coming back to the Earth much stronger, non-Hertzian phenomenon. And then he was able to light up 10,000 homes in Colorado Springs. For the first time, somebody in our cycle of humanity has proven that clean energy was possible, that unlimited quantities of energies were possible, that non-Hertzian phenomenon was possible, that wireless transportation was possible, that free energy was possible. Don't clap too long because James will come to, get me out of here. Did American corporations accept this invention? Of course not. How are they going to sell the free energy? How are they going to make money? It was much more profitable for them to build very expensive hydro and thermal power plant or recently nuclear power plants. Transport it through cables and lose 20 to 50% of the energy so they can sell it to us, end users, for a lot of money. But one day, the free energy will be in use again. And that will be the first pillar of the free society. The second one will be the free flow of knowledge. Instead of elites having a monopoly on knowledge, and from that one they derive all their powers. corporations, media, and finance and politics. With those two pillars, we will have the base for the society consisting of the free women and free men. Austrian explorer Klaus Donner last year brought us an illustration of the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia, north, east, different colors are tunnels on different levels, 7 different levels and 7 different depths. Light blue, 5 meters deep, 16 feet. Here is light blue, which ends with a circle, ends with a chamber. White, 10 meter depth, a lot of white, 35 feet. We have blue and brown and yellow and black, anywhere from 20 feet to 1,000 feet in depth. And as we can see, those levels, look at the red, the black and blue and white, they are moved a little bit, every time on different levels, like they are forming the spiral. The spiral is very important. If you do have the spiral inside the pyramid, you have the base for the non-Hertzian Tesla waves. It's not only the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia that is active. 3 years ago, the tourists from El Salvador filmed the Kukulkan Pyramid in Mexico and the energy beam coming through its very top. The locations of archaeological monuments in the past were very important. Hera Temple in Greece, the archaeologists from Greece, they filmed this energy vortex coming from underground. And another one, this one in Aegean Sea, another vortex coming from this Hera Temple. DJ Nelson from the US made a replica of Great Pyramid of Egypt, 52 degrees, 4-sided pyramid, oriented to the north, put Tesla's transformer inside, and Tesla's waves started forming immediately. April 2012, we did an experiment on the top of the Sun Pyramid. We were thinking, if the pyramid is an energy machine, creating energy beam, certain frequency, certain strength, let's see what's going to happen if we create our energy beam, emit to the pyramid. Let's see what kind of response we're going to get. And physicists calculated we should get back response of 0.9 volts. We were emitting this energy for 54 hours. We got response back of 3.9 volts, more than 3 times stronger. Again, they could not find explanation. It seems that the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is not only the energy machine, but the intelligent energy machine who decides for herself how it's going to respond. The second thing we were looking was the source of the energy. We sent our raw results to the lab in Zagreb, Belgrade, and Vienna. We got their results that the source of the energy has to be 2,440 meters away from the pyramid, and it has to be a huge iron plate, because iron generates its own electromagnetic field. That plate can be above or below the pyramid. Well, 2,440 meters is 1.5 miles. We would be able to see that iron plate above the pyramid. If we don't see it, it means it is below the pyramid. It emits electromagnetic field, and the pyramid is generating the power of more than 10 kilowatts. Professor De Bertolus from Italy was doing some more.
Save something for tomorrow. Save something for tomorrow.
I have for tomorrow, I have lots. Yes. Was doing some more recording of ultrasound. For the first time you will be able to how one pyramid speaks. He got the ultrasound, which we cannot hear, of 32 kilohertz, and he converted it to 8 kilohertz. So let's see how the pyramid in Bosnia speaks. You want to hear that? ancient Bosnians are sending faxes. Now, we can convert this even to the piano player. And then, this is what we recorded during the winter time, when the pyramid was covered by snow. And that's only on the top, radius of 30 feet. So people were asking us, why don't you slow it down? Maybe there is a hidden message there. Strange country. Yes. 5 minutes. I will settle for 5 minutes. These sounds, they come in regular blocks, 28 kilohertz, 28, 28, 28. So the blocks of ultrasound. We compare them to the nearby hills, no regularity. We compare them to the Pyramid Hill in Italy, no regularity. So we have a machine here, more in the book. And I'm going to finish with another book. For the spiritual science lovers, the ancient history from behind the veil. For the first time, somebody did experiment with 6 Akashic record readers. What spiritual science lacks is the way to verify what they tell us. What material science lacks is creativity. We need to combine the two, and this book is trying to do that. I asked 6 Akashic record readers 30 questions about 30 different sites, and one of them was Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. I asked them what they can tell me about the pyramid. Reader number 1, Nancy, said they are constructed more for the purpose of rejuvenation and clearing. It's the place to be nourished, strengthened, and cleared. Reader number 2, when it was originally built, this was a gold-colored structure. They purposely built it as the biggest. It has to do where it is located on the planet. Reader number 3, these structures were built using vibration techniques, where they pulled things up out of the earth, formed it, and slid it into place. Inside the pyramid there are 14 chambers, and they have something to do with the sacred geometry frequency. There is an energy that comes right straight down the middle of the pyramid. It is an energy you cannot stop. Reader number 4, you will run into energy when you get to the center. It's like a beam of light that goes straight through the center of it. It goes up and it goes down. We have not proven the second one yet. The energy field is that powerful, and it is about 6 to 10 feet in diameter. Be very cautious and careful about accessing, opening, awakening. You could trigger something. Reader number 5, this was built with the help of the higher vibrational energies. They had a spiritual advancement as opposed to scientific one. The pyramid already receives information and knowledge in a way that you are not completely aware of. There is a connection between the pyramids here and all others around the world. Inside is energy and something metal in the ground. They were giving us this information 2 years before we did our measurements.
What's the longitude latitude?
43 degrees. It receives and magnifies energy. Then it is transmitted outward from the pyramid. There are more formations of stone beneath the pyramid. It feels like crystal or quartz crystal. And finally, reader number 6, the pyramid builders came from places that had pyramids, migrated here, and continued the tradition. They disguised them. Pyramid energy has been misused. The pyramid energy was like a beacon, a transmitter. It was not their intent for these to be tombs. This energy can not yet be monitored today. This energy goes up beyond the stars. That energy is feeding other solar systems. They are not just for this planet. Thank you very much.